It's a wrap for this one.
Okay, how's everyone doing here? Hope everyone's having a great weekend, and hope everyone who celebrates Easter is having a good Easter. Happy Easter, everyone who celebrates it. Let me just post this on Twitter. Okay, second here. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay. Here we go. Oh, hello, Matthew. Thank you, George, for sponsoring my channel again. Hey, what's up, Pro? One more month, man. Also, you should play Black Ops 3 Zombies, man. It's a fun game. I'll do a playthrough of Black Ops 2 one day. I did a playthrough of the first one, but I'm willing to do it. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Reward. Happy Easter, guys. Hey, Leo. Okay. Anyone who needs help, just invite me. Oh, Rodriguez, okay. I'm doing good, Vex. How are you? I appreciate the constant transparency in the video, so thank you. Oh, hope you get better, Lloyd. Just send me an invite to the business when you get the chance. No, we just started the stream. My Easter has been going good, Kevin. How are you, man? Okay. Great video on Kane Lynch multiplayer. It's so fun, yet still challenging. I'll have a video on the multiplayer in the second game. The multiplayer in the second game is the same mode, but it's gotten much better. What is my favorite movie of all time? My favorite movie of all time? I would say for modern films, my favorite modern film has to be The Equalizer. Favorite older movie would probably be Scarface. Oh. Wonderful start here. Post-op nightmare. Thank you, Austin. And for people wondering why I'm backing up, it's because if you back up the hills, you actually go faster with a post-op van. Would you play any horror games on the channel? I have. I've played the Dark Pictures games. I haven't played the new one, The Devil Inside Me. I have to play that one. But I've played Man of Medan. I've played Little Hope, and I've played House of Ashes. Yep. Okay. And I also played Outlast. Outlast I've done a playthrough of. Anyone hear about the new GTA 6 leaks? I don't believe it. It's just, yeah, it's just, don't, if there's not direct evidence, I wouldn't listen to it personally. You're driving the wrong way, I know that, but I'm doing that on purpose. Because, backing up with the post-op van, you go faster than going forward. On hills, at least. So when it comes to hills, backing up with the post-op van makes you actually go faster than going, yeah, than going forward. I think I'm good for now, but thank you. How's the San Andreas lore video coming? It's coming along nicely. You know, right now, I have to do some last-minute edits to it, guys, but it looks like it's going over an hour. So it's going to be over an hour long. Do you watch Mr. Oh, he's got the leaks? No. Don't, nobody has the leaks. It's just, no. Don't listen to that. Okay, don't push me here because I can easily crash here if I get pushed. What is the stupidest moment in GTA history? I think the stupidest thing a GTA character has ever done is probably in the Ballad of Gay Tony when Tony Prince bought the diamonds. That was probably the stupidest thing he did. I would probably say it's probably the stupidest thing a GTA character has done, because that diamond mess, that created such a huge problem. Thank you, Dark Soul. And yes, it's not double money on the MC businesses anymore. At least I don't think so. I'll do a bully playthrough one day. Yeah, I know Bunker is, but the MC businesses aren't. Great. Most psychotic GTA protagonist? It's Claude. Not even Trevor, I'd say it's Claude, yeah. Claude has no remorse, no emotion towards others. That's why I would consider him the most psychotic GTA character. My favorite GTA protagonist, Nico. Did Claude kill Maria at the end of GTA 3? It's definitely a possibility, but what we do know is that Claude didn't go there to save Maria. He went there because, he went there because, to get rid of Catalina. That was his primary reason. It wasn't to save Maria, it was to get rid of Catalina. Are you gonna upload Crime Boss playthrough? Yeah, tomorrow. I'll have the next part up. I'm sorry, I've been, like, 3 days behind. Basically, I've had two things that come up. The first thing is, I recorded one Crime Boss playthrough, and it actually got corrupted, which really sucked. But it's gonna be back under control tomorrow, and on the next part. And, what also my lore video, my San Andreas lore video delayed the Crime Boss playthrough a little bit, because I'm just finishing it up. But, once I get the San Andreas lore video out, because it's like a 1-hour video, I put a lot of work into it, I'll be able to chill more and get more parts out for you guys. Oh yeah, Michael was definitely one of the most selfish GTA protagonists. You still do hanger crates. I will I still do, and I'm actually have a guide on that coming out. Yeah, post-op is garbage. Hi, unconverting. Who would win, Franklin or Luis? Tough one. I don't know, really. Well, Luis is a lot older than Franklin.
Christ alive!
Yeah, I miss the old duffel bag cell missions, I really do. Most selfless GTA protagonist? I would say Vic Vance in Vice City Stories. Thank you, Express, because Vic went to go save Luis, who wasn't related to him, and he just felt bad for her. And he saved her from her abusive husband. Okay, we got this. Yeah, I'll do Battlefield 3, definitely. It was one game that I considered doing. Going like the fastest we can with the post-up. I wish you could upgrade these vans, wouldn't that be nice? Oh, I'm appearing offline? What? I shouldn't be. Hold on, I'll look in a moment. What is this NPC? Oh, that's not NPC player. But, okay, it's here. Stop right here. No, I'm appearing online. Well, both Nico and Vic are both tragic characters that they didn't want to get involved in crime. No, I'm appearing online, though. Okay, I got the last drop. Okay, we finished it in about 11 minutes. That's a good time for actually finishing a post-op sale. Last online 6 hours ago for me? What? You are online? Okay, well, I don't know what's going on then. Okay, here we go. Hi, Era. There we go. I want a Lost MC biker gang lore. Yes, I will have a video on that.
Cryptocurrency received, so I guess we have...
I could do the casino heist later. I watch soccer when it's like the World Cup or the Euro Cup, but other than that, I don't really watch it. Yes, that is coming out later in, April, Petrovic video. Favorite GTA antagonist? Dimitri, because of just how unpredictable he was. Yeah, Dimitri was just pure evil. So what are we selling next, Rodriguez? You have another business to sell? Because that would just help someone else, though, I guess, if you don't need help selling right now. This is the Torador. Yeah, Tenpenny was kind of evil as well. I'm doing good, James. What do you think about Poland expanding their military? Well, people in Poland are generally scared. And so they've, Poland has suffered through a lot of occupation throughout its history, and so it's understandable why they want to upgrade their military. I'll continue the Saints Row DLCs, Saints Row 3 DLCs. Probably do that in like a month or two. Finally hit 100 million on GTA. Congratulations, Express. Oh, it did. Did you lose the bunker, Yara? I'm outside, just sell when you're ready.
Gut and deers.
Can't be!
Hey, badass.
No way!
Well, what the? What?
Jesus! Go to hell!
I forgot you can't melee with the sniper rifle. No, I haven't played The Crew 2.
Alright.
Planes? Okay. I'm gonna take a Sparrow for this. Who is worse, Micah or Dutch? Micah. Dutch, at least to an extent, cared about everyone, but, even though he went crazy, but Micah didn't care about anyone ever. You think they could have made Red Dead Redemption 2 Prologue into Red Dead Redemption 3? How do you think it could have been done? Red Dead 2 Prologue into Red Dead 3? What do you mean? You mean that like the Blackwater Massacre would what? The end of Red Dead Redemption 3 if they made one? Is that what you mean? Thank you, Boostio. Whoa, what the? Okay, he dived right into the... He dived right into the ground. I was gonna expect him to deploy a parachute or whatever. When you play as John Marston, you hunt Micah and Dutch. Oh,
I'm guessing you don't want
well, Red Dead Redemption 1 takes place after Red Dead Redemption 2, though,
Can't
but...
handle the heat, my friend? Okay. Leave it
No,
with
I
Uncle
jumped
Lester.
out because I wanted a parachute, but I got that animation instead. That's an animation when you dive in the water, but for some reason he did the diving animation instead of the parachute animation. they could do like a game, Red Dead game set during the Gold Rush, but what I'll say though, the Gold Rush is like one of the worst time periods in American history. People think that it's a good time period, but it's actually one of the worst ones. The reason the Gold Rush was such a bad event, and it would have been better if gold was never found. If gold was never found, that would have been just a better, that would have been better. But basically, the reason that the Gold Rush is such a terrible event in American history was because what happened was, out west, some gold was found. And then a newspaper started writing stories that there's tons and tons of gold in the west, and this attracted so many people to move out west trying to seek their fortune. People trying to become millionaires just by finding gold. And what happened is, this gold, oftentimes is actually found on Native American lands also, which the government put them on reservations. And so the government gave them land that they thought was bad land, but then they realized there was gold on it, and so then they threw them off that land. That caused a bunch of wars. And what ended up happening with the Gold Rush is that the people obsessed with the gold, it was like a mental illness, like it was like a disease basically in a way. Because what happened is, back then, the people were so obsessed with finding gold that if they found a tiny bit of gold, even a tiny bit, instead of taking that gold and pocketing it, do you know what they would do? Whatever gold they found, they would just buy more equipment with it. So they'd buy more shovels, more digging stuff with it, instead of actually saving that gold. So they would just buy more digging equipment, and then they would never find gold. And the thing about this is, do you know who's the only one who actually got rich during the Gold Rush? Very few people actually got rich actually finding gold during the Gold Rush. But do you know who did get rich? It wasn't actually the miners. It was actually the merchants. The merchants who followed the miners around and sold them equipment like shovels and stuff like that. Those were the guys who got rich, not the miners themselves. And these merchants were such scumbags. They were such, scammers and, liars. Basically, what the merchants would do is they would just be sitting down right next to all the miners who were mining for gold. And what would happen is, let's just say you got a situation. You're digging for gold, your shovel breaks when you're digging for gold. You need a new shovel. You have a merchant that's right next to you, just a few feet away from you. And he just tells you, he says, I'll sell you a shovel. It'll be like $30. Which $30 back then was an insane price. Shovel probably would have cost, much less than half of that. And what happened is, you tell him, why should I pay you that much money? Like you're, tripling the price of what a shovel should be. And, $30 in, like, that time period, that would have been, oh, man, that would have been, let me just think about what that price of that would have been. That would have been close to, like, $900 in today's money. So, yeah. So, basically, the reason that the miners would pay those ridiculous prices for, like, shovels and stuff like that is because the merchant would say to you, you could pay $30 for my shovel, which is, like, equivalent to, $900. Or you could go into town and buy a shovel for less than $5. But by the time that you go to the town and you get the shovel, somebody else is going to find the gold before you do. So do you want to miss out on that? And so people then bought the shovel because they didn't want to lose the gold, and so they got ripped off. And so these merchants were such scumbags that would just follow around the miners and just take advantage of them. And that's basically what it was. It was just a mental illness. People just obsessed with finding gold, and they never found gold. People would kill each other over the gold. That's like, just how scary the Gold Rush was. It was just like a really bad time period in American history. It would have been better if no gold was ever found. And also, here's a fact for you guys. Do you guys know how in the Wild West you see those ghost towns? Like the ghost towns oftentimes in like movies and games and stuff like that. You never hear about what caused the ghost towns. Why were there so many ghost towns in the Wild West? Well, one of the main reasons there were so many ghost towns in the Wild West was because they were Gold Rush towns. That was primarily the reason. Basically what happened was if gold was found next to a town, near a town, that town would get so much business. A lot of people would come into town, they would start doing business in the town, they would buy stuff, people would stay in hotels in the town would have a booming economy. But then what happened is, when the gold dried up, what do you think happened? Everybody left the town and went to go to another town to look for gold. And that's how you got ghost town. People came there, initially the town started making a lot of money, and then when the gold dried up, people just stopped shopping in the towns, stopped buying the towns, and that's how towns became ghost towns. Coulter in Red Dead Redemption 2 is a gold rush town. So it was a town gold was found in the mountains, and then when the gold dried up, they basically just abandoned the town. And Tumbleweed, kind of the same thing in Red Dead Redemption 2. If you look, there's a gold mine actually right near Tumbleweed. And another reason is that the train station doesn't go directly through Tumbleweed also. That might be another factor. Hot take. In my opinion, Reddit is boring. Tried to get into it online, but it's not fun. GTA Online is better, more to do and more fun. Even GTA 5 story. Well, thank you, McDonald's. I mean, I appreciate the super chat, but I guess it's your opinion. But here's the thing: if you're a new player and you start playing Reddit Online, I think it'll be fun because you would have a lot of stuff to do, like moonshining, trader, and stuff like that. But if you're a Reddit Online veteran and you've already played the game for some time, you're not gonna find it fun. There's not that much unless you play with friends. Like if I played Red Dead Redemption 2 by myself, I'd be bored out of my mind. I would. So if I play with my friends, I have fun. But if I play by myself, it's boring. So when I do streams, I have fun. We talk to each other. It's entertaining. But if I play with myself, it wouldn't be fun personally. Oh, okay, Express. Thank you for the super chat, Gold Fever. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you too, SophaStream. Happy Easter to everyone who celebrates. But also, guys, there's a really good TV show. If you're interested in the Gold Rush, there's a really good TV show called Into the West. It was like an older TV show. I think it was like made like 20 years ago. But basically, Into the West, there's like a few of the episodes like revolve around different characters during different things that are going on in the West. And so what happens is there's a few episodes that revolve around the Gold Rush, and what happened exactly. Now with the Gold Rush, there's this one guy who him and his cousin start looking for gold, and they're looking for gold in a river, and they find this giant rock of gold, like it's pure gold. It's like the biggest gold rock they've ever found, and with this rock, both the guy and his cousin are going to be millionaires. They have enough to live for the rest of their lives comfortably. But what ends up happening in the story is that the one of the guys claims that the other guy isn't getting half of it. That they should have just split it in half, but they didn't. Because one guy was claiming that they were using his tools, and so he's like entitled to like 70% or 80%, and the other guy's going to get a third. The other guy gets pissed off. So what the other guy does is he tries to take the golden rock, and he tries to run off. So he gets into a boat, and the other guy chases him down to get the gold rock back. He shoots his cousin on the boat and kills him to get the gold rock back, and his cousin dies. Then what happens is he tries to get the gold rock, which falls in the water. But what happens is the guy who jumped in the water doesn't know how to swim, and he dies. And so they both died. And that was like a moral lesson to like teach you just the horror of the gold rush, the greed. It was the greed, and it was just the obsession with gold. If they would have just split the rock, they would have been both alive and they would have been millionaires. But instead, it was just greed that just took over, and they both died. And that was, pretty much it. It was just like it just meant to show you how horrible the gold rush is. Because I hear so many people thinking that the gold rush is like a good thing. They think the gold rush was a good event in American history because we found gold. No, it wasn't. It was a horrible event. People got killed. People killed each other over gold. People got scammed by merchants. It was just, Native Americans got thrown off their land. So it was just the gold rush was a terrible time in American history. It's not a good time at all. It was just, crap time. If gold was never found, there would have been such less problems. But that's pretty much what it is. Or I remember seeing it in school. Oh, so you saw it? Okay. My account suspended for chargeback, so I made another account, Mr. Professional. Okay. Well, thank you for the super chat, PC. I do appreciate it. Yeah, it is double money right now in the bunker, Yara. What do you think of the GTA 30th anniversary collection? Happy Easter too. Thank you, Dylan. I haven't heard about it. GTA 30th anniversary collection? What is that? Could you explain a little bit to me, Dylan? Are they selling is Rockstar selling something? I have to do a playthrough of the classic GTAs, like GTA London, and I gotta do a playthrough of those one day. Have you ever played the original Deus Ex? It predicted September 11 and COVID. Anyway, the game seems right up your alley. I could look into it one day. I could look into that game. Isn't like one of the themes of the Deus Ex games where like the government has way too much power and is like spying on the citizens? Isn't that like part of the game story? I think that's part of it, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the one that I'm thinking of? I think it's the guy with the glasses, right? The guy with the glasses, and I think that was the I think that was it. Happy Easter, bro. What did you eat? I had a dinner with just oh, helicopters are all taken. Okay. I had a dinner with just a few ham sandwiches like a few hours ago, and I had cranberry sauce, and I also had some beef. So that was what I had. Thank you, Ant and Dylan and Sloppy MC. Thanks, guys. Is Crime Boss cringe? Yes, but it's not Saints Row cringe. Saints Row cringe is the worst cringe. Because the characters in Crime Boss are still criminals. They're still gangsters. Some of the things they say is cringe, but they're still gangsters. Where the characters in Saints Row and the new one are not gangsters at all. They're just massive cringe entirely. So, I'll tell you, Crime Boss is not a perfect game. The gunplay kind of sucks, but I do enjoy the criminal empire building. Like, the empire building and planning and, like, spending money and buying stuff, that I enjoy. I like that part of the game. The gunplay could be better, but I enjoy the crime building. That's what I personally enjoy about Crime Boss. A release of the 2D universe's GTA titles with emulation settings. Oh, okay, and that's Rockstar. That's not Rockstar's releasing that, Dylan, right? Thank you. Crime Boss, worst release of 2023. We still got 8 months in the year, so there's a chance that there could be much worse games that come out. AI Chuck Norris, yeah. Does anybody know? Is that actually Chuck Norris who voices himself? Like, they had to have his rights to have his character in the game, but is that actually Chuck Norris who voices himself? Because it sounds like an AI when he talks. Like, his voice, Chuck Norris. You would think that his voice acting would be the best in the game, but his voice acting is terrible, terrible. So it's Yes, but he sounds so that's actually Chuck Norris? Crime Boss isn't bad, it's just not good. Yeah, I would say it's not an amazing game. It's an okay game, but I think we can all agree that Crime Boss is at least a better game than Saints Row. I think we can at least agree on that. I mean, it's not open world, but it's just I just had more fun with Crime Boss than Saints Row personally. So that's okay, PC. Oh, ow. I enjoyed the Fragile Lines video, thank you. So, anybody who hasn't checked it out already, check out my Kane and Lynch video. I posted it like 2 hours ago. And, basically, I showed what the original Fragile Lines looks like. People were telling me the servers are gonna be down, but they're still up. They work. We played a match. But, basically, I used to play that game back in the day a lot. It was very popular. And Kane and Lynch multiplayer is where you play as the Sevens robbers. There's a lot of different heists where you rob the Russian mafia, you rob a corrupt senator, the Yakuza, the cartel, there's a shopping mall heist, there's a jewelry store heist, there's a bank heist, and the thing about the Fragile Lines is that if you get greedy, you can actually betray your teammates. So if you get greedy, you can kill your teammates and try to take the money and run off of it. That's what's cool about Fragile Lines, that every time you play it, you never know what's going to happen. Thanks for the promotion of Galaxy Lamps. So Galaxy Lamps was my first sponsor that I did. And guys, I'll tell you something. I have gotten hundreds of sponsor offers, like hundreds, over the years. So many. And what I'll say about it is that the reason I did Galaxy Lamps as my first sponsor was because that was a product that I actually liked. Unlike everything else, like I got so many offers from like weird stuff that I didn't like, and so if I'm gonna promote a product, I want it to be a product that I like and a product that I value. I'm not gonna promote something I don't use. I think that's dishonest. So it's I would only promote something that I like, and I actually did like the Galaxy Lamp. I do like it. It's cool. So it actually does create really good effects. I was very impressed by it when I got it. So I was very impressed by the effects on it. And so they asked me if I could do a sponsorship for them, and we did it. And it was cool, and I got to work with them. I'm willing to do more with them. I've already done 2. They contacted me about more. What is it? I have gotten some really weird sponsorships, like, over the years, like, offers that I never accepted. Like, there was companies that wanted me to advertise Raid Shadow Legends, which I, it's like, no, I don't play Battle Royale games. It's like, I'm gonna advertise some mobile game, no. And then there was also this, like, weird company. I remember it was, like, months ago, they wanted me to advertise some, like, some weird charity thing. It was like in Scotland, and they sent me like a bunch of emails, and they were like, oh, you buy land, and it goes to charity, and you plant a tree, and you get like the title of like a lord in Scotland. It was something like that. And the second that I read that email, I had a bad feeling about it. I was like, this sounds like a scam to me. Like, I just had a bad feeling about it. It just did not, it just didn't sit well with me. I just didn't like it. And the thing about it is that about the thing, the reason that I felt it was a scam, and I called it. I called it before everyone else did, because later on, everyone else was like saying it's a scam, but I called it before everyone else said it. Most people said it, at least. The reason that I felt it was a scam and I didn't take the sponsorship offer from them is because it sounded weird to me. Because when you really think about it, they are a charity. They're a charity, supposedly a charity, that is paying YouTubers to advertise their charity. You know, you think about that, right? It's like, why would a charity pay someone to advertise their charity? Think about it. Aren't charities supposed to be non-profit and they're supposed to be to help people? Why would a charity be paying YouTubers to promote their charity? That makes no sense to me, personally. If they were an actual charity, they would reach out to people and they would say to them, hey, you know, we're helping, you know, plant trees or something, we're doing a campaign event, can you help? You know, something like that. Not like, oh, we'll give you a lot of money if you advertise our charity. No. So that's like, so just by looking at that, I had a bad feeling. And also, the thing about that is, I'm an American. I'm not Scottish, I'm not British, I don't live in Britain. How am I supposed to buy land in Scotland? So it's like, what, I sign up on some website and I buy, like, land in Scotland? It makes no sense to me. And on top of that, you get the title of, like, a lord or a lady, and it's like, why would I want that? You know, something like that in the first place. I don't want to be a lord or a lady. Most aristocrats were scumbags. Like, nobles and aristocrats, these guys were scumbags. Like, they were just not good people. Like, the aristocrats were the people that caused mass hunger before the French Revolution. That was the whole reason for the French Revolution, was because the aristocrats basically starved out the peasantry. So the aristocrats throughout European history were just scumbags. They would take advantage of the poor. It was like rich elites that were from a specific family. So why would I want the title of like a lord or a noble? I generally don't like aristocrats. So why would I want that in the first place? So that's what I'll say about it. Is I just had a bad feeling about it. And then you know what was weird about it? Afterwards, they started sending me a bunch of emails afterwards. I didn't reply to it, but they started sending me some emails like some weird Japanese knives, like some kitchen knives, or like some kamikoto knives. And they were like, oh, you know, you just advertise these knives for us and stuff like that. And I looked up the knives. I had a bad feeling about the knives, the Japanese knives. I looked them up. They weren't real Japanese knives. They were just cheap Chinese copies. So they weren't even real Japanese knives. And I'm like, I'm so happy I didn't take those sponsorships. I had a bad feeling about it, and I didn't take it. But that's what I'll say about it. But let's see here. Missed a few super chats, I think. Oh, thank you, Mr. Waifu, for that super chat. It's an idea I thought about Rockstar could do for GTA's 30th anniversary. When is that coming up? Don't expect Rockstar to do anything for the 30th anniversary. They're not gonna. Thank you, Dylan. Have you ever played LA Noire? If not, would you consider doing a playthrough? I would, but Wyatt, I already know what's gonna happen in the story. I know who the murderers are, so it might not be as fun solving it as the first time though. But I'll do it one day. But yeah, the thing about this is, when you had all these YouTubers that like advertised that it was the people told me in the comments, it was like the titles now, the titles thing, whatever it was called, that these YouTubers were like advertising it. It's like, this just shows you how greedy people are. It shows you the greed. Because the thing is though, is wouldn't you do research into a company? Wouldn't you want to research a company before you advertise their product? Because me personally, I care about my reputation. I value my reputation a lot. I care about what people think of me, and I don't want people to think of me as some greedy scumbag. I would rather people like my content and I have less views than have millions of views and people just despise me and hate me. So it's just, I value my reputation a lot, and I want people to come to my channel, know that I'm an honest, straightforward guy, and that I don't pull no BS. But instead, it's like these YouTubers, the second they get these messages from the Scotland titles thing, whatever it is, they're like, oh, let's just do it, and they start just posting about it instantly, right away. And, a lot of YouTubers then, like, made videos saying, oh, sorry, we got involved in that, or we didn't know it was a scam. It's like, couldn't you have done research into it? It seemed shady. It seemed suspicious. You know, I saw it, I felt it was suspicious. This is months before it turned out it was an actual scam. So that's, so I don't know why people, you know, couldn't use their better judgment personally on that, stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I'll say about that, is, yeah, it's just greed when it comes down to it, and it's like I said, it was like the aristocrats, the lords, in European history were scumbags. Obviously, not every single aristocrat or lord was a scumbag, but a huge amount of aristocrats were scumbags. Aristocrats were basically rich elites that, like, lived in Europe, you know, hundreds of years ago. They're still descendants of them today. But the aristocrats, the last time the aristocrats really had power in Europe was 100 years ago during World War I. After that, they kind of lost their power. There was aristocrats in other countries too, like, you know, Japan, the samurai are aristocrats, they're nobles too. But generally it was like a very powerful family that is, and they get money and power simply because of their family name. There is no other reason. It's not because they've proven themselves, not because they've proven that they're good leaders or anything like that. It's just because of their family title. And, like, for example, if you look at a country like Royalist France, this is France before the revolution, when France had, like, the monarchy still. In Royalist France, for example, the aristocrats had ruined French society so much that it was such an unequal society. Like, people talk about economic inequality a lot today, but they don't realize how unequal France was. It still happens, don't get me wrong, but France, you had the worst economic inequality, because what happened is, you had the aristocrats who completely ran the country. They were considered a class. They were considered the first estate, and then you had the church, which was the second estate, and then you had the peasantry, the merchants, and everyone else, which was the third estate. Established titles sponsors make me cringe. Yeah, so it was established titles. Thank you, Revan, for the super chat. So, yeah, so basically what happened in France was you could not move up in French society. You were basically doomed to whatever class you were originally as. So if you were a peasant, you were going to be a peasant for the rest of your life. You were never going to be able to move up. Like, if you were, let's say that you came from a peasant household in France, and you were very smart, you were talented, you were a genius. If you tried to go to college, you weren't able to. You were banned from going to college. Why? Because of your bloodline, because you were a peasant. You were considered not eligible to go to college because of that. If you were in the military, and you were you were a very smart commander. You knew what you were doing. You knew the tactics. You knew how to, you know, win battles and stuff like that. The most that you could get up to was a sergeant. You could not get up past a sergeant. You could not become an officer in Royalist France, because that was only allowed for aristocrats. Only aristocrats were allowed to be officers. And so back then, the generals and all of them, they were aristocrats. They were given those titles not because they worked their way up, but because of their family name. And the aristocrats in France didn't even pay taxes. They didn't. They paid almost no taxes because they were deemed that because of their bloodline, they didn't have to pay taxes. And so that's what caused the hunger in France. People starved to death, and the peasantry got really mad. The taxes in France were, like, so high that what happened is the farmers were part of the third estate, and so their taxes were so high that the farmers, by the time they would grow their food and get their food to a city like Paris, they would barely have enough to make a profit. The taxes were cutting into their profits. And so farmers saw no need to grow food and transport it to the cities. Instead, they would just sell locally. They wouldn't, you know, make the trip. And because farmers weren't sending food to the cities starved. And while the aristocrats were living in their big mansions and chateaus in France, eating, drinking wine, and the peasants were starving. And that's what caused the French Revolution. That's why, you know, peasants got really pissed off, overthrew the government, and eventually killed the king. It was just, you know, there's more to it than just that, but that's, like, you know, pretty much summing up the French Revolution. So the point that I'm getting at is that the aristocrats throughout history, especially European history, were scumbags. A lot of them the aristocrats were scumbags. They were not good people. You know, they starved people in France, and they, you know, they didn't just starve people in France, starved people in a lot of countries, but France is one of the worst examples. And so these people are offering me the chance to become a lord or an aristocrat. No, I don't want that title. So no, thank you. So that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about that. Waiting for the next invite, Rodriguez. You see here. Hey Patrick, what is the best Moonshiner location? I would say the one in Tall Trees because it's right near a fast travel point. Yeah, France did have a horrid, you know, caste system, but they got rid of it with the French Revolution. So that was it. So, for the most part, though, the French Revolution was a good event. For the most part, it was, you know, they brought about change in France. The bad thing that happened during the French Revolution was when you had Robespierre, when he came to power, Robespierre went a bit crazy. But for the most part, the French Revolution was a good thing because the French Revolution shaped modern democracy, and it got rid of the noble privileges and the aristocratic privileges that dominated French society. Oh yeah, taxes are high right now. Yeah. Well, let me drive Shimon. I didn't drive the last one. I can drive this one here. Okay. The reason that there's such high protest in France is because they've raised their retirement age from like 62 to 64 or something like that. If I'm getting the years wrong, let me know. But basically the reason that the French are so pissed off right now is because in France they pay like 47% taxes. Like, France is one of the most taxed countries in the world. Like, you give nearly half of your money goes to the government. And so people are paying nearly half of all their money to the government, and the government is telling you that you have to retire 2 years later. And so people are saying, what are we paying all these really high taxes for? And now the government is telling us that we have to wait an extra 2 years before we retire. That's why people are pissed off in France. So if they're not, the government should then lower taxes. If they're not willing to keep the same retirement age and lower taxes, but they're not willing to do that, and that's why I don't agree with any rioting or burning or anything like that, but I do think the protesters have a point. They're pissed off for an actual reason. Let me see here. Let me see here. Why was Marie Antoinette killed? You're talking about the Queen of France. The reason that Marie Antoinette was killed was because she committed treason. That was pretty much the reason. Both her and Louis committed it. Because, here's the thing about that. When you hear about the execution of the French king, and you hear about the execution of the French queen, people feel bad for them. And they're like, oh, they didn't deserve that, it was like a horrible event. And if you play Assassin's Creed Unity, and you see like when King Louis gets executed, he gets scared and stuff like that. And so people are like, oh, I feel bad for Louis, he didn't deserve that and stuff like that. But the thing about that is, obviously he's gonna be scared because he's gonna be executed. That's why he's scared. But the thing is, what people don't talk about is they don't talk about all the people that Louis and Mary got killed. Because Louis and Mary got a lot of people killed, especially with the starvation, the hunger, the increase in taxes on the peasantry. But ultimately, that's not what Louis and Marie Antoinette were convicted on. What happened was, France was a constitutional monarchy for 2 years. So France did not get rid of its monarchy right away. It was a constitutional monarchy for some time. What happened was, the king was losing more of his power, and the aristocrats had their power taken away. And the aristocrats really didn't like that because the power started going back to the common folk. The common folk had way more power than the revolution. The king and the aristocrats didn't like that. And so Marie Antoinette, her cousin, was actually the king of Austria. And so Austria was a very powerful kingdom back then. What Mary did, Mary convinced her husband Louis to flee. So they dressed up as peasants. And they tried to flee to the French border. They tried to go to Austria, where Mary would meet up with her cousin, who was the king of Austria, and then he would lead an invasion into France to restore the monarchy and put down the revolution. So that's what Louis was trying to do. Louis and Mary were plotting to have their country invaded. If you plot with foreign governments to have your country invaded and your people killed, occupied, you're committing treason. And that's exactly what Louis and Marie Antoinette did. They committed treason when they tried to have Austria invade their country. And the thing about that is, for people that are saying, oh, Austria wouldn't have done anything bad, Austria would have only returned a monarchy. If Austria had invaded France and they actually took France over, do you know what they would have done? They would have put Louis back on the throne, sure, and they would have abolished the French Revolution. But what they would have done is they would have killed a lot of revolutionaries. A lot of revolutionaries would have been hanged, killed. But on top of that, what they would have done is Austria would have carved out a piece of France. They would have carved out a piece of France and they would have annexed it. And they would have said, this is our payment for putting you back on the throne, Louis. And so they would have cut out a piece of France. So regardless of whether you agreed with the revolution or not, if Austria took over, they would have annexed parts of France. And so Louis and Mary committed treason by literally trying to get a foreign country to invade their lands. So that's pretty much what it was about. And also, during Louis and Mary's trial, their trials were show trials. So they were going to be found guilty regardless. However, though, what I'll say about it is that the vast majority of charges against both Louis and Mary right. They were the majority of the things they were charged with, they were guilty of. So they weren't innocent of the majority of the things they were charged with. Like I said, the trial was kind of rigged. That is true. But most of the stuff they were accused of, they were guilty of, like treason, trying to get, plotting with aristocrats in the church, and trying to get foreign monarchs to invade. They were guilty of that. The things that they weren't guilty of was Marie Antoinette was accused of molesting her son. She wasn't guilty of that. There's no proof that she did that. The revolutionaries just did that to try to smear her. But Marie Antoinette was not a good person. She wasn't a good person. She was that terrible person. There's a few people that say she donated her money to charity, but that's not entirely true, because Marie Antoinette had a gambling problem, and she would gamble with dozens of gold coins a day. Gold coins, pure gold coins. She would gamble with that every day. And she would lose, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a month, possibly millions of dollars of French taxpayers' money in a month. And what she would do is she would donate remaining of the money to charity. So is that really her money to donate in the first place if she's gambling with the money and stuff like that? I think personally the charity thing was just a way to make herself look good. But what I will say though is that even though Marie Antoinette and Louis were scumbags, I don't necessarily think that it was right to execute them. And even though I do believe that they were guilty, what I personally think should have happened instead of executing them is I think they should have been put on house arrest for the rest of their lives. I think the monarchy should have been abolished, so the revolutionaries were right to abolish the monarchy, but instead of killing them, they should have just put Marie Antoinette and Louis on house arrest for the rest of their lives. And don't make it like a comfortable house arrest. Give them like a peasant's cottage, like something the peasants would live in, just so that they knew how the poor lived. And the reason for that is because when the revolutionaries killed the French royal family, what happened is all the monarchies around France declared war on them. Like Britain declared war, Austria declared war, Prussia declared war, Spain declared war, and so that really put them in a lot of... The France ended up winning, by the way. They ended up beating all those countries that invaded them, but it still put a lot of resources on them. So what France should have done is they should have put just Marie Antoinette and Louis on house arrest, had them guarded by soldiers to make sure they don't escape again, and basically told the other monarchies, if you invade France, you're putting the royal family at risk. That's basically what they should have done, and that might have gotten the other countries to back off at that point. So that's pretty much my take on the whole French royal family. They were guilty, they were scumbags. I don't think they necessarily should have been executed, just put on house arrest, but they weren't innocent of the things that they were personally accused of, despite what people think. Let me see here. A few more comments I'll read. I do read history a lot, and one of the things I do like reading is the French Revolution. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Joker. Happy Easter, man. What did you think of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone that was in Seattle a few years back? That was just stupid. They didn't want police in the neighborhood, and then when the police weren't in the neighborhood, people got killed. So it was just it was just a personally stupid thing. I know what you're talking about, Mario. I'm familiar with it. I read it in the news. Call of Duty 3 is what got me into the franchise in 2006. I was in 6th grade. Then was one of the best missions was the Polish was defending Mount Ormel 262. Oh, thank you, Phoenix. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, and I'll tell you guys something. The Polish are being brought in as a faction, the Polish army, into a World War II game this year in an update. Do you know what game? Hell Let Loose. Anybody play Hell Let Loose? The Polish army is being brought in as a faction. And basically as far as we know though, the Polish are gonna have one battle in Hell Let Loose, and it's gonna be the Battle of the Danzig Post Office. Basically, the Battle of the Danzig Post Office was like the first battle of World War II in Europe. So it was right when Germany invaded Poland. You're going to see that in Hell Let Loose. So you're going to see there's going to be battles with the German invasion of Poland. And I don't expect the Polish to have any tanks in that. They're probably not going to have any tanks because Poland had cavalry mostly, and they had a lot of anti-tank rifles. So there's probably going to be some Polish soldiers in that game that are going to have anti-tank rifles as a unit. But the Polish are probably not going to have any armors. Anyways, about the Battle of the Danzig Post Office. Danzig was a free city-state. It's modern-day Gdańsk. It's in the city of Poland, a city in Poland today, and Germany tried to seize that right away at the start of the war. And there was this big post office that was there, and the post office that was there, it was mostly military police that were working at the post office. They were technically soldiers. They were just military police, and they defended the post office. There was a siege, and they held off the German army for some time. Eventually, the German army took the post office, but the thing about it is that all the Polish soldiers that fought in that post office died. Every single one. What happened is when the Nazis actually tried to breach the building and they blew a hole in the wall, the Polish commander who got shot actually detonated a grenade and he blew himself up and he took a few of the Nazis with him. So that was an actual thing that happened, and it just shows how much Poland tried to resist at the start of the war. But the remaining soldiers that were captured, they weren't given proper POW treatment, a prisoner of war treatment, because under the Geneva Convention, soldiers were supposed to be treated humanely as prisoners of war. But the Germans declared the Polish not soldiers. They were saying that these weren't Polish soldiers, but they were Polish military officers. They were just MPs that were defending the post office. And so the Germans didn't give them the same treatment as POWs should have gotten, and they had the rest of the Polish MPs just killed. They executed them, all of them. So every single Polish soldier that fought in that battle died. But you're gonna see that in Hell Let Loose. That's coming in. It's coming December. So December, the Polish are being brought in December. If you play Hell Let Loose, it's on PS5. It's a World War II game. So it's the Polish will be brought in the game. And Hell Let Loose is a very realistic World War II game, unlike a game like Vanguard. So I'm excited to see that, see what they do. And I'm also excited to see how good the Polish voice acting is in that game, because I speak Polish fluently, and so I'm just really curious on how the Polish characters are going to be speaking in that game. If they'll have authentic Polish accents and Polish voice actors. Say here if you can hear me here. Oh, hello, Rockstar Ripper. Thank you for the super chat. Based off personal account, Louis was a mild-mannered man who was very sweet. Well, here's the thing about Louis, is King Louis, going back to the French Revolution, I wouldn't say that he was evil, but he was not a good person either. King Louis was incompetent. That's the word that I would describe him with, incompetent. He just was not the right guy to be king, and he didn't know what he was doing a lot of times. And because of that, he let the poor starve in his country, he let the aristocrats have all the power. If he was a good king, he would have reduced the power of the Catholic Church, he would have reduced the power of the aristocrats, but he didn't do that. And so he let his people starve, and then he tried to have a foreign monarch invade his land and kill his people. So, Louis, I would say, was not, an innocent man in the end. He was pretty much guilty of what he did. But that's the thing, when people talk about King Louis being executed, they say, oh, I feel bad for Louis, but they don't think about all the victims of the monarchy. They don't think about all the people that died from hunger. Like, if you were, the thing is, though, is that if you were living in, like, France, anybody here, I'm not just talking specifically to you, but if you were, like, a peasant in France, if you were living back then, and you had to pay all these taxes, the aristocrats had to pay nothing, you would hate Louis. And what happened is, if you imagine watching your family starve, your family starves, you're working so hard, you're trying to provide for your family, but you don't have enough money to pay for food, and you're watching your kids go hungry, and then your king tries to commit treason also at the same time, is you'd be cheering for the king to get executed. That's why people in France were cheering. That's why you had so many cheers when people were cheering for when the king got executed. He ultimately brought it on himself. It was ultimately his own fault. So the violence in the French Revolution didn't just come out of nowhere. It didn't just pop out and the French decided to become violent. It was a result of the corruption of the monarchy, the corruption of the aristocrats. So it was ultimately a lot of things. Is Insurgent or Night Shark better? I like the Insurgent personally because it has a gun on top, but that's just my opinion. I think the Night Shark, I believe, is faster though. Opinion on Jean-Paul Marat. Yes, I know who that is. Speak Polish, jak się masz? Przeczytałem twój comment. I just read your comment. That means in Polish, how are you? Jean-Paul Marat. That's a very good question. Jean-Paul Marat is a guy that I would describe as evil. I would. Jean-Paul Marat was one of the most extremist revolutionaries during the French Revolution. He was like a really bad man. Jean-Paul Marat, basically what he did was he ran a newspaper. That's what he did. And you're probably wondering, how can a guy that runs a newspaper be so evil? Like, isn't he harmless because he's just a journalist? But the thing about it is, it's his writing that got people killed. That's pretty much what it was, is Jean-Paul Marat would write a lot of things. Some things were true, some things weren't, but a lot of innocent people ended up dying because of his writings. So he would speculate about a bunch of people, he would call people royalists who weren't royalists, he would call them supporters of the monarchy when they weren't supporters of the monarchy, and his writing would get people killed. And so what happened was, he was sick, and he would have to, he basically lived in his bathtub. He had some skin disease, and so he'd basically have to bathe all day. He would just sit in his bathtub and just write. And what would happen is people could come to his house and like tell him who enemies of the revolution were, and like Jean-Paul Marat would like write articles about it, and those people would possibly get executed and get like their heads cut off. And like one of the women who, like, this one woman, she went to his house telling him who like enemies of the revolution was, but she ended up stabbing him to death. She stabbed Jean-Paul, and Jean-Paul deserved that. He deserved that. So basically, what happened is the woman who had stabbed Jean-Paul to death. The reason that she did that was because she was from the Girondist party. Jean-Paul was from the Jacobin party. Both of the parties were parties of the revolution, so both of them fought for the revolution. The Girondists were monarchists. Some of them supported a constitutional monarchy, but the Girondists were the less extreme party. The Jacobins, Robespierre's party, they were the more extreme party. And so what happened was the Girondists basically opposed the death penalty. They were against it. They thought that the death penalty being brought in was wrong. And so what happened was Robespierre declared the Girondists counter-revolutionaries and against the revolution. And so the Girondists started getting rounded up, arrested, and executed. And so this woman who was a Girondist was really upset about that, about all the killing. And the reason that she killed Marat was because she just said she just wanted the killing to stop. That was the whole reason. She herself got executed for that. But that was basically the story with him. If you actually play Assassin's Creed Unity, Jean-Paul Marat actually does appear in that one. He doesn't appear on screen, but you find his dead body, and there's a murder mystery, and you have to find out who killed him, and you have to solve the mystery, and it tracks you back to that woman who killed him. So that was about it. But I already knew who killed him when I started the mission in the game. I already knew who was the killer because I know the actual historical events. But it was, yeah, that guy was just, real, like, terrible person. As for the guy, how do you know so much? I like to read a lot, and the French Revolution is probably my favorite subject. But I would say that when it comes to Robespierre, the Robespierre is that guy that you actually like. That guy that's like, he has like that picture of himself where he's smiling, and he's the guy who was responsible for the Reign of Terror, like most of the people dying in the French Revolution. When it comes to Robespierre, though, he's a more complicated person, where like Marat was like always a crazy guy. Robespierre was different. Like, he's not comparable to like Hitler or Stalin, definitely not. But he's like, how do I explain it? Like, Robespierre, like when it comes to Assassin's Creed Unity, do I think his depiction in that game was accurate? Robespierre was a good person at one point. At one point in his life, he was a good person. He did stand for something, and he believed in justice. He believed in justice, freedom. Generally, when he was younger, he was a good man. And Robespierre was one of the people who actually ended slavery. So he abolished slavery in France. A lot of people don't know about that. Robespierre also opposed the death penalty. People don't know that. Despite, like, he changed his mind later on, but originally he was against the death penalty. He didn't support the death penalty. What happened to Robespierre was Robespierre went crazy over time. He actually went insane. Because Robespierre basically believed that there was this conspiracy to put the French Revolution down, and that there was, like, thousands of people in on this conspiracy. He was true to an extent. He was right to an extent. There was a conspiracy to put the revolution down. But the conspiracy to put the revolution down, it maybe had hundreds of people involved in it. It wasn't thousands of people like Robespierre thought. The people that were plotting against the revolution were mostly foreign monarchs. So it was people outside of France, like people in Austria, Prussia, Britain, Spain. They were plotting to put the revolution down mostly. Inside France itself, there really wasn't that many counter-revolutionaries. But he basically, anybody that slightly disagreed with him, if you slightly disagreed with Robespierre, he would accuse you of being counter-revolutionary and basically send you to the guillotine. And you get your head cut off. So that's basically, that was it. He was a good man at one point. He just went insane. He just, the paranoia, just the basically thinking that people were constantly trying to put down the revolution, it just basically got to him. And so that was pretty much what it was about. Robespierre even tried to create his own religion. It was called the Cult of the Supreme Being. So he even tried to create his own religion. So that's why I say he went insane. It was that, what's that line that you hear about in history? You live for so long that you end up becoming a villain. Is that the line? I think it is. That's pretty much what describes Robespierre. Is, he wasn't like, Hitler or Stalin, where Hitler and Stalin were always evil people. They were always really bad people. But, like, it was that, like, Robespierre was a good man at one point. He stood for something. He believed in, you know, human rights. He believed in freedom. You know, he believed in, you know, freedom from aristocratic privilege. He believed in equality under the law. He believed that peasants should have the same rights as everyone else. He was against slavery, but it was that he just went insane. That's just pretty much what happened to him. So, did he deserve to get executed? Did Robespierre deserve his execution? Yeah, he did. He did deserve to get his head cut off because he killed a lot of innocent people. So, that was it. So, the thing about Robespierre is, if Robespierre never killed anybody, if he didn't start killing people, if he didn't go crazy, Robespierre would have gone down in history as like one of the greatest people that ever lived, if he had never killed anyone. But because he started killing people and he went crazy, you know him as a villain, because of that. But, you know, up until the point when he went crazy, he was generally a good guy. He just went insane over time. So that was it. So, how evil was Stalin? Oh, Stalin was really evil. Like, he was just, you know, that... You know, not even comparable to Robespierre. Like, you know, Stalin... The difference between Robespierre and Stalin is that, first of all, Stalin killed millions of people. Robespierre killed thousands of people. But, Stalin, knew what he was doing was wrong. He knew what he was doing was evil. Robespierre, on the other hand, believed that he was doing the right thing. He believed that he was protecting the revolution. That was the difference between, you know, the two of them. But Robespierre deserved to get executed at the end, too. But, it's such a shame. Because if he hadn't gone crazy, he would have gone down as like one of the best people in history. That's the thing about him. So Robespierre is a very, you know, controversial figure personally. Like some people, and when it comes to modern day France, like some people in France like Robespierre. They say he was a good man. Other people like you know despise him. But, you know, the truth is it's somewhere in the middle. It's in the middle. He did do good things. Like I said, he abolished slavery. You know, he did support equal rights for peasants. He didn't support aristocratic privileges. But, unfortunately, he just went crazy over time, and just, you know, the whole reign of terror happened, and he just started killing people. So that was it. So if he never killed anybody, you know, he would have gone down in history as, you know, one of the best people ever. You know, he would have gone down as probably Francis George Washington if he hadn't killed anybody. Bro, is Hitler more evil than Stalin? Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, Hitler was gonna genocide entire peoples. You know, if Hitler had ended up winning the war, he would have killed hundreds of millions of people. Hitler would have killed way more people than Stalin. So that's, so he's not a, you know, yeah. So Hitler is just a much worse evil person than Stalin was. Stalin was also a really evil man, don't get me wrong, but it was just, you know, Hitler is just worse than him. Let me see here, did you watch Chernobyl? I did, Express. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you, BXSC campaign. Let's see here, go next business. I did watch Chernobyl, my mom, when she saw Chernobyl, though, my mom was getting a bit emotional when she watched that, because, when my mom remembers when the Chernobyl disaster happened, and so my mom had to march in the Communist Parade. She had to, because the Chernobyl disaster, when did that happen? That happened April 26th, I think. April 26th, 1986. And so 5 days after that was May 1st. And in May 1st is like a very big holiday in communist countries. And May 1st, you had the, you know, a lot of communist parades would happen during that. And so my mom was a teacher. My mom wasn't a communist. You know, she was just an elementary school teacher. But, you know, she had to march in the communist parade on May 1st because of that. And so the government, at the time, they knew about that. They knew about what was going on. They knew about how the Chernobyl disaster, and they didn't cancel the parade. And so my mom had to, you know, march in this parade, and what ended up happening was my mom, you know, got really exhausted. Like, it didn't make sense to her, because she started getting really tired all of a sudden. Like, it was just out of nowhere. Like, she was completely awake, but then out of nowhere she was getting tired. And when she came home in the afternoon, you know, she didn't even eat, and she just fell asleep, and she slept for nearly 2 days. That's what my mom did. She slept for nearly 2 days. And so my mom breathed in some of that, you know, garbage that was going on in the air, some of that toxic fumes from the Chernobyl disaster. But basically what happened is that my My mom didn't get any permanent effects, so my mom is like my mom is healthy right now. She's fine, so she didn't get any permanent effects or anything like that. But you know, she did obviously breathe something in because that's not normal. How does somebody get that tired quickly and just fall asleep and sleep for nearly 2 days? So that's it. But yeah, my mom was getting a bit emotional when she watched Chernobyl because she remembered when that whole thing happened, and that was yeah, she does remember that. The TV show is kind of accurate for the most part, though there are 2 scenes that are kind of historically inaccurate. The first scene that's historically inaccurate is when the helicopter comes, because the helicopter, I think, showed up like a few weeks afterwards. It didn't show up like a day or 2 afterwards, like when the helicopter crashed. That didn't happen like right after. It happened a few weeks after. So that was one detail that was kind of historically inaccurate. Another thing that was kind of historically inaccurate in Chernobyl is when, like, at the end of the show, when he's, like, at trial and he just basically says, oh, the whole thing was, like, a lie and stuff like that. That didn't happen, that scene. You know, that was just put in mostly for drama. But he did, he did kill himself at the end, but he didn't, Legasov. But, he didn't do that because of, like, that speech that, like, was in the show. The reason that he, did that was because he felt like the Soviet government didn't care. And he felt like they weren't listening to him. Like, he wanted them to fix the other reactors, and they didn't listen. And so, even, like, it was, like, 2 years, I think he died, like, 2 years after the disaster. It would happen on the same anniversary of the disaster. And, basically, 2 years later, at that point, the Soviet government was still using the same RBMK reactors. And so he felt like nothing had changed, and he felt like his work was for nothing. And not only that, the Soviet government discredited him. So they discredited him, they were claiming that his research wasn't right. And so that's ultimately why that happened. But after his death, the whole thing was changed. Like literally, they fixed the remaining reactors, and it was something the Soviet government couldn't cover up. They couldn't hide that. So that's pretty much what it was. What it was about. Let's see here. Hey Pro, great time yesterday playing Fragile Alliance. I like it more than single player mouse. Hopefully you can do it again, ahead of its time. Thank you, Fernando. Maybe, Brandon, I have to still finish my lore video for, San Andreas night. Hey, Professional, how are you, going to play Dead Island 2? Also, would you consider playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor? Yes, I would, play Dead Island 2. Maybe when I play Dead Island 2, maybe I will, what's it called? What I might do for Dead Island 2... Oh, whoa. What I might do for Dead Island 2 is I might do a stream playthrough of that. Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you, Jen. I heard Rocksteady's new game is going to soft to reboot the Arkham series, making only Arkham Asylum the only canon in the series. Huh. That'd be kind of weird for them to cancel out all the other games. Thank you, Jen. Honestly, what I would like to... You know what I would like to see made non-canon? I would like to see 2 things made non-canon. I would like to see the new Star Wars movies. I'd like to see them made non-canon. And the, and also the, what is it, The Last of Us 2. I would like to see The Last of Us 2 made not canon and just, fix the story and just change it, because I just didn't like the story in the second one. So he's like, Deborah in GTA 5, who also has a massive portrait of herself in her condo. I love that detail in GTA 5. It's so funny. Yeah, well, here's the thing. If somebody has a, there's nothing wrong with having a picture of yourself, but if somebody has pictures of themselves all over their house, like everywhere, constantly, and no one else and just themselves, that shows how narcissistic the person is. So that's Deborah having, there's not even one picture of Floyd in that apartment. Like, nobody can find one. There's not one picture of Floyd. And instead you have this, massive portrait of just, Deborah, like, right in the living room. It just shows how narcissistic she is. Thank you, Mario. Hello, Pro. How's your Easter been? I'm really enjoying your GTA Chinatown Wars playthrough. What do you think of the next the GTA Online Alien Wars 2.0 leak for next DLC? I don't really believe that, Zombie. I don't. I just don't feel like it would make the theme of the of GTA too well. I don't mind like an event, but I don't want to see like an Alien DLC. Please no. But what I will say though is, do you know what I think Rockstar should do? I think Rockstar should end GTA Online at this point. I do. And even though GTA Online is like, where I make like, a lot of my videos, a lot of my views come from GTA Online, I think that GTA Online personally should be ended. I would still play the game, but I think it should just be ended, and they should just focus on other games. That's because it's going 10 years at this point. And, what I think they should do when it comes to GTA Online is don't end it like Red Dead Online, because that was a disaster. End it like, basically, here's what I think Rockstar should do. Make one final big DLC. You know, you're about to hit 10 years. You know, make one final big DLC. And the one final big DLC, I have the perfect DLC in mind. What the final DLC could be. The final DLC, make it another heist. Another big heist, like a new location. Something like Cayo Perico, like one final big heist. Like, and gives you, like, all the options like Cayo Perico, all the preps and stuff like that, a new safe house to plan it from, and, you know, all different approaches to go about it, and different loot and stuff like that. Give us, like, one big, like, you know, final heist. And also on top of that is give us mansions, like houses that you can buy and customize. People have wanted mansions since day one. So mansions and, like, one big heist. And I think that would be the perfect final DLC. I mean, you guys agree with me? I think that would be the perfect way to just end GTA Online, is giving them mansions, what people have wanted for so long, and one big final heist. And I think that would be a, you know, a great way to end it. And at that point, just work on your next game. Work on, like, you know, GTA 6, and just, like, you know, focus on that. That's, you know, what I personally think about it. I think it's just, you know, make one final big DLC and just end it. Because, you know, this game is going, you know, 10 years at this point. And, you know, I have very rarely seen games go this long. Like, even Elder Scrolls Online, and that's, like, since, like, what, 2014? And this is, like, 2013. But this is, you know, that's a year old, more than this. So it's like, this game is still, you know, still going, but they're gonna eventually run out of content in this game. It's gonna eventually happen, you know. They're just not gonna have, anything to make content left on this game with at this point. That's just what I personally think. Hope you have a good Easter. Thank you, Wolfman. I hope you did too. Thank you, Zombie Fanatic. Some guy tried to reenact the Boondocks in real life by terrorizing a restaurant over when he had fish and coleslaw and chicken. Well, I talked about that on my last stream, Mr. Waifu, but I'm gonna probably make a crazy current event video reacting to it. Basically, and I'm not joking when I say this, guys. Later this week, I'll have a video talking about it if you guys want to see it. But everything that I say right now, I'm not trolling. I just want people to know that I'm being 100% serious with what I say right now. There was a guy, it happened in Maryland, and this is like last week. There was a guy who went into a restaurant in Maryland. He went right before they were closing, and he tried to order chicken wings. And the manager told him it's too late to start up, like, all the machines that they're making the chicken wings, fryer or whatever it is that they're making the chicken wings on. He said that's all been shut down, cleaned for the night. It's already too late to start up to make chicken wings. The guy gets really mad, and basically starts fighting the manager, like, actually fighting him. And the manager ends up fighting the guy out in the parking lot. And the fight goes out in the parking lot. This is a YouTube video. You can watch the fight. The fight goes out in the parking lot. And what happens is the manager then goes back in the store. The guy also smashed the door. So the fight, because it went out in the parking lot, the door got smashed. And what happened is the guy then came back to the store because he was pissed off about it. And he took his truck, his tow truck, and just smashed the entire front of the store. Like, he actually drove in the store with his truck because he didn't get chicken wings. Like I'm not making this up. This actually happened. You know, what crime would that be? That would be assault and vandalism. That would be assault and vandalism. And you could possibly argue it's attempted murder as well. Because when he drove in the store, he knew people were in the store. So that's, you could even possibly throw attempted murder in there. So that's like, so yes, so I'm not joking. This actually happened. Go on YouTube, if you want to see the video, go on YouTube and type in "man crashes truck in the store for chicken wings." You'll find the video. It's on YouTube. And I'm gonna make a video on that. I'm gonna make a video talking about it, because I haven't done the crazy current event series that I do. It's like a series where I play a game in the background and I react to something ridiculous that happened in the news. And that's like something so stupid and just so ridiculous. Your best friend is Kevin from Saints Row. No, thank you. No. I think honestly, I think that Pierce would probably be the better friend, than Johnny, because Johnny would be kind of a scary guy to hang out around. So that's, Hey, Professional, I think you should play Red Dead 2 than Red Dead 1. Also, I've been enjoying your crime boss videos. Thank you, Mitchell. I'm gonna have another crime boss part tomorrow. I'm sorry, guys, for the delay in that. I've just been busy. Ty jesteś Polakiem? Tak, jestem American z polskie pochodzenie. I'm an American with Polish background, but yeah. But I identify myself as American. You know, I'm an American of Polish descent, but I identify myself primarily as American. I just watched the video, he broke the door too, yeah. Play Medal of Honor Frontline, I will, but Medal of Honor Frontline I'll play on June 6th, because it's D-Day. So that's the day that I'll put it out on. Yes, we could, WRB. There we go. So, nice. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to everyone who celebrates. I'm gonna do a video comparing the map in Chinatown Wars to GTA 4 eventually. I'll play Red Dead Revolver one day. I've given up on the game. Companies with their lies, deception. I've been pre-ordered games since 2015. I have no regrets. They don't deserve my money. Yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you guys something. When I was growing up, and a lot of the kids these days won't understand it, but when I was a kid, you know, many years ago, and we had games that were coming out on like the PS3 and stuff like that. Do you know what what happened back then? Is companies would give us betas, and you wouldn't get the beta for pre-ordering the game. You wouldn't get it just for pre-ordering the game. You would get the beta. Everyone would get a beta. It would be a public beta. But now, these days, if you want to get the beta on a lot of games, you have to pre-order. And when I was a kid, the betas would come out months before the game. It wasn't like a month or two before the game. It was months before the game, which gave the developers plenty of time to still change stuff. But the betas these days are not actual betas. They're just early demos. That's all they are. Because do you honestly think that they're going to be able to change that much stuff in like a month or two? They're not. The betas are basically just a scam to get you to pre-order right away. That's pretty much what it is. So that's what I say about betas these days. They're very different than betas when I was a kid. Did you hear about the Bronx judge who freed a stepdad who murdered his 15-year-old son without any bail? What? Okay, I didn't hear about that. Yes, when GTA 6 comes out, I will do GTA 6 as much as I used to do GTA 5 back in the day. Like, how much I used to... You guys remember how much GTA Online I used to do back in the day? I'll do the same amount of that on GTA 6 when it comes out. Oh, yeah. You know, I'll tell you guys something. I saw, like, you know, I saw, like, some ignorant comments the other day. And it's just... On one of my videos, I was reading actually a few comments. And basically what happened was, people were, like, saying, like, it was, like, a few people, and then there was a few people that came to my defense, in the comment section, which I appreciate people defending me, but, you know, people don't really need to do that, but I do appreciate it. But basically what happened is there's a few people that were actually coming to, like, they weren't necessarily trying to insult me, but they kind of were. What they were basically saying was that my channel fell off, and they were basically saying that, like, you know, when he stopped doing GTA Online, his channel turned into, like, the views dropped, and he's not as big as he used to be anymore, and just a bunch of other stuff like that. But the thing about that is that my response to that is it's, you know, not about the views. It's not about the views. It's about doing what you like to do, what you enjoy doing. And, like, I do these GTA Online streams because I enjoy them. I don't do them primarily for money. I do make a living on my channel, don't get me wrong. But I do these primarily because I enjoy them. That's the main reason. The reason I didn't stream GTA Online for nearly a year before I started streaming it again was because I got burnt out of the game. I got burnt out of the game, and I got, you know, I was bored of the game. And also, it was like every single lobby that I tried to play in, every single lobby, like, when I would stream, I would have somebody join, Orbital Cannon me. Like, I got Orbital Cannon multiple times a stream. I'd be lucky if I would be able to get through one stream without getting hit by an Orbital Cannon or killed by an Oppressor Mark II. And so it was just so toxic. I'd have people join my lobbies, they'd send me messages saying, like, 1-0, L's, 1v1 me, you got owned, blah, 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 you know, so nonsense like that. And what happened was I just got sick of it, basically. I just got sick of this, and I got bored of it. And when GTA Online, when I was able to actually play in friend sessions and actually sell in friend sessions, and then I got back in the game, because now I can, you know, do everything that I used to do, and I don't have to worry about idiots joining my session every time and blowing me up. And so that's what I say. Is these streams have been chill. You guys have been watching me the last few months. I never get grief on these streams anymore. So that's like I like came back to this game because I like it and I enjoy it, and taking a break from it made it worth coming back to, personally. But like I said, not everything is about the views, because if you do everything about the views, it's like, you know, these other channels that like only do one game. I'm not talking about just GTA, but like imagine a channel only does one type of game, like GTA or Call of Duty, or you know that, and they're just doing that one thing constantly. Like, do you think that person is really happy? I think they really are, because I'll tell you something is, honestly, from my perspective, I was becoming like you know, very unhappy. I wasn't like miserable, but I was becoming like very unhappy with just doing GTA Online. I didn't hate the game. I didn't regret any of my videos. I never regretted one video that I made. But it was that the thing that I say is that what I was getting upset by was that I was only doing GTA Online, nothing else. And every single time I tried to play anything else, I tried to do a video on any other game or anything like that, I would just have people that would just come to my channel and they would just complain and just say dumb things. Anybody that's watched my channel for years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'd have people that would come to the channel and they would complain, they would post toxic comments, and they would just say like, you know, this and that and blah blah blah, and just being toxic to me in general. And, you know, eventually got to the point where I said, you know what, screw this. I mean, I'm going to play what game I want to play, and, you know, nobody's going to tell me what I can and can't do. And that was, you know, ultimately, you know, what changed my mind. But, you know, going back to this whole view thing, it's like, you know, I don't understand that. Like, people come to other people's channels and they say, like, oh, this channel gets more views than this channel, so then therefore this channel is better. Just because one channel gets more views than another channel doesn't make it better. I don't get that. And, like, who decides what makes a channel better in the first place? Is it really about the views? I personally don't think so. So that's just, it's something, like, by that logic, if those people come to my channel and say, oh, you know, your channel isn't good anymore because it doesn't have the views that it does, I would say to them, well, I can find you, like, clickbait channels that have, like, millions of views on YouTube. Does that mean they're the best channels out there because they have the most views? Like, so that's just, so that's why it shows you that views are not everything. Views, I don't think, determine, really, the quality of a channel personally. And, I mean, look at my lore videos, for example. My lore videos aren't something that I put out, like, once every day. Lore videos are something that I put out once a month. But when I make a lore video, and I make a good one, it's something that I put a lot of time and effort into. You guys have seen my Brad lore video. You guys know how long that took me to make, how long the editing and the script writing and everything like that. And when you guys see the San Andreas video that I'm putting out, it's coming out very soon. It's coming out tonight, you know, early tomorrow. When I put out this video, you guys will see, you know, just how much work I put into this. So I don't like to rush things. I don't like to do things just, you know, I'm not that type of guy that, like, I have to put out a video every single day. Because there's YouTubers that feel that way. They're like, oh, I gotta put out something every single day. Every day I gotta put something out or I'm not making money. But it's just, I look at YouTube as, like, differently. I look at it as my living, obviously, but I look at it as just something that I enjoy doing, too. That's ultimately what it's about. So, like, you know, the people that only do, like, one game, you know, like GTA or Call of Duty or Battlefield, and they only play one game on their channal, can they really say that they're happy? I mean, maybe they'll say that they're enjoying it. Maybe they actually do. I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you, from my perspective, doing only GTA Online drove me insane. It almost did. Like, I'm not like, I'm just joking the way with that, but it was just like, it really did bother me, just doing just GTA Online. So it was just that. So I just literally wanted to do other content on this channel, and just didn't want to just do the just GTA Online. But I think it's personally better if you know, expand your channel and you, like, draw more viewers to it, and, you know, stuff like that. Have I ever considered playing the Resident Evil games? Maybe one day. I don't know, Mitchell. I'll have to see. I did play a few of the Resident Evil games. I played Resident Evil 5. That I played. I played Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. That I played, too. Raccoon City actually was not that bad of a game where people were saying it was. I thought it was an okay game. It wasn't great, but, you know, I played Raccoon City and I played Resident Evil 5. I played, did I ever play any other Resident Evil games? No, I think that was pretty much it. Thank you, Mitchell, for the super chat. That's why a lot of channels that primarily play GTA are so biased. What do you mean by the bias specifically, though? Yeah, but it's yeah, I think personally limiting yourself to only one game, I think is a really bad idea. My personal viewpoint on it. Yeah, just wait for the invite here. Yeah, I'll do a comparison video when I get the chance. So are you saying that Rockstar should starve GTA Online players of content until GTA 6 comes out? No. I'm saying make a really good big update. Like, make one final update. Like, make one final update for, like, you know, GTA Online. Like, a big update. Like, a big heist. Like, Cayo Perico and Mansions. That'll give people plenty of stuff to play still. And then, like, you know, how long is GTA 6 gonna come out until? 1, 2 years, maybe? So if they release, like, one final big update now, that's still enough content to play for many months. So that's, and, you know, you have always more people coming in, personally. And, I mean, like, don't you think that they kind of, you know, ruined, you know, Reddit Online? You know, don't you think that? They kind of did, you know, ruin it of content, personally.
What the hell?
What is a game that you haven't played for the channel yet but would like to, Pro? SOCOM 2. Thank you, Kalo. SOCOM 2, a few others. SOCOM 2, what else? Operation Flashpoint Red River is one game. I don't expect those games to be very popular, but I still want to play them. Operation Flashpoint was a really good game. I like to play that. It was very realistic. I played that a lot back in the day. Kane and Lynch 2, still I gotta play that. Thank you, Thank you, Mitchell. Hey, Professional, we used to play Resident Evil 4 Remake that just came out this year. Maybe when I get around to it, I can play it. Thanks, Mitchell. What's your favorite American holiday? 4th of July. I played Ape Escape, yes I did. You ever get bored of GTA? Sure. Obviously, I think everyone does. But if I'm, you know, doing a stream playing with you guys, not really. Have you thought about playing Assassin's Creed Ezio Trilogy? If you haven't, I would highly recommend it. It's a great trilogy. I played all the Assassin's Creed games, the older ones, a long time ago. I didn't play the Ezio trilogy, but I did play Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Oh, this is the easy one. Bikers. Okay. Okay, I'll take this one here then. Finally caught you, bro. 2 a.m. for me. Okay, thank you, Van Winkle. Thanks for stopping by, man. How old are you? 28? What can I do to get my money back that I lost from the raid? Well, you could probably join WRV's heist. We're probably gonna do that at the end. I mean, if he I guess if he invites anyone else. So yeah, pretty easy mission on the bikes. Always liked this mission, never really had a problem with it. No, I've never played True Crime New York City, but I know the games. I gotta play those one day. Thank you, Express. No, I know about that shortcut, so it's helped me during this mission.
These gringos don't know what work is.
Ya lo sé.
I would probably like the Pounder sale the most for the MC because it's one truck. You just drive it there and it's over. Okay, WRV, why don't we do your, why don't we do your, why don't we do your heist now, if you're up for it? Oh, it's like Kane and Lynch's betrayals again, Fernando. Yeah, Rockstar's not the same they used to be, Van Winkle. Why did the UK lose their American colonies? Because they treated the colonies badly? They didn't treat them ever... You know, the colonists were never really, treated as British. That's the thing is, you know, we weren't ever called the British. We weren't. A lot of people don't know that. We were called the colonists. Colonists, I think that's a pretty disrespectful term. Calling us colonists instead of calling us British. But, yeah, a lot of Americans had fought in the French and Indian War, and they fought for King George, and then King George raised his taxes on the, colonists, and, well, I'm gonna help, I can help you with your heist next one, Feel. I'm sorry, I know WRV has just been asking me for, like, for like 2 or 3 weeks to do this heist, so I'm just gonna help him with that, because I don't want to have him keep delaying that heist there. I can help you possibly later, or on the next stream with your heist.
Sorry.
But yeah, it was just the colonists were just treated badly, and the taxes were raised. And I'll say something is that the whole American Revolution could have been avoided if King George had just responded positively to the Olive Branch petition. So that was a petition that the U.S. had actually sent the colonies sent to King George, and a lot of Americans actually did not want to rebel, so they didn't want to rebel at first, and they were hoping that King George would listen to them, but King George basically replied with that anybody that takes up arms against him is a traitor, without addressing any of the grievances the colonists had. And basically what happened here is that the last 2 years of the Revolutionary War, the British actually got desperate, and they knew they were losing the war. And so what happened was the British actually tried to come to the negotiating table before the war ended. And so what they did was King George sent a bunch of delegates over. to the colonies.
Hey, you
And
know
those
what's
delegates
in the
basically
union.
told the colonists, they said to them, or the Americans at the time, they said to them that, you know, we'll give you everything you've
That
ever
was
wanted.
rude.
You know, we will give you equal representation in Parliament, because the Americans never had representation in the British Parliament. And what happened was the Americans at that point said, no, we want full independence, and the British delegates weren't allowed to grant that. And so that, now people might say, well, why? Why wouldn't the Americans just agree to that? Isn't that what they wanted? Weren't they being unreasonable? No, they weren't. Because the thing is, though, if King George should have given that deal at the start, he should have basically said, we will give you representation in Parliament, like the first year of the war, if you stop your rebellion. And the rebellion probably would have stopped. But it was that the war had gone on for several years at this point, so many Americans had died. And so at this point, it's like, what did all these Americans die for? People wanted independence. We wanted to be our own independent country. We were sick of King George. We were sick of the monarchy. And that's ultimately what it was about, is if he wanted to keep the colonies, he should have kept it earlier. He should have offered that deal earlier. But he waited too long. He thought he could just subjugate the colonies without giving them representation. And then when the rebellion just spread so much, and also at the start of the Revolutionary War, at the start of the Revolutionary War, I think it was like 40% of all Americans were patriots, which patriots were the revolutionary faction. 40% were patriots, like 30% were loyalists, which were loyal to the king. And then at the end of the war, like right when the war was about to end, it was like, 70% were patriots at that point, and the loyalists were like 20%. A lot of people actually don't know that a lot of the patriots were actually, some of the patriots were loyalists beforehand, before they switched sides. A lot of people don't know that. But that was it. So so it was just that people got so sick of the king. People got so sick of the king. They got so sick of the British Parliament, and that was pretty much it. What had happened. You know the story of Desmond Doss from Hacksaw Ridge? I know a little bit about him. Yes. He never really went in with any kind of gun. He saved a lot of people. You know, that's somebody that, you know, deserves to have their own movie about them. You know, is one of the most selfless people in history. But unfortunately, a lot of the kids these days don't care about a story like that. They just rather watch their Marvel crap. Thank you, Sensitivity. Thank you for sponsoring my channel again. I remember a lot of the laws for the colonies were quite inconvenient and prevented some production in the colonies, forcing imports from Britain. Yes, it was called mercantilism. That's pretty much what it was. Mercantilism was not a free market system. It was very much a controlled economy where the king would basically say to the colonists, you can only buy products from Britain. You can only buy goods from Britain. You cannot buy from any other country. And of course, the king would just increase the prices of the products and rip the colonists off. So that was, yeah, that was another reason. That was another reason why the colonists were, you know, getting pissed off. But also, here's something that a lot of people don't know about. The one of the things that enraged the colonists the most, it wasn't even the taxes. It was actually quartering of troops, which people don't know about. And what quartering of troops basically is the British Empire, in an effort to save money, they decided to go the cheap route. And so what they did was, they had military bases for their soldiers, but these military bases, they didn't really have, barracks for the soldiers. A lot of them didn't. So you're probably wondering, where would the soldiers sleep if they didn't have barracks? The soldiers would arrive at the military base, but they wouldn't sleep there. Where would they sleep? They would instead be quartered in colonist homes. So what happened was, you had a soldier assigned to your home. So a British soldier was assigned to your home, and you had to make a room in your house for that British soldier to live in. So the British soldier was living in your house. You had to make a room for that British soldier. And on top of that, not only did you have to make a room for them, you had to clothe them and feed them. So you had to provide them with clothes. They had their military uniform, but you had to provide them with other clothes. You had to wash their clothes, wash their military uniform. You had to cook food for them, so you had to pay for their food. And the British soldier wouldn't do anything for you. So that was just it. So that was all that came out of the colonists. So imagine the government is basically forcing like a soldier into your house and saying, okay, you gotta take care of this soldier, you gotta clothe them, you gotta feed them, all coming out of your pocket and everything like that. And if you resist, you're gonna get arrested. That's what the British did to American colonists. They basically just forced through these quartering of troops into like American homes, and it was an effort for them to save money on like building barracks. And so they threw that on the colonists, but that enraged the colonists so much. And what happened was in the American Constitution, it's actually forbidden for quartering of troops. So troops can actually not be quartered in American homes. Because in America, private property is valued a lot, And so troops cannot be ever quartered in American homes. They can never do that. That's illegal under American law. That's how much the Founding Fathers hated that they put it in the Constitution. So that was it. So troops can never be quartered. Just waiting for this invite to the heist when you get the chance. Bro, you know too much. Well, thank you, Wallet. Amendment 3. Yes, it's the Third Amendment. Few minutes. Okay, I'll wait. It's okay, WRB. Just invite me when you get the chance. Do you think some amendments are stupid? No. You know, well, the only amendment that I think was actually stupid in the is the what was it? The which amendment was it? I'll look up the number of it. There's only one that I think was stupid. I think all the amendments are generally good. It was the 18th Amendment. 18th Amendment was the 18th Amendment was the stupidest one. That was the one which banned alcohol. That was the stupidest amendment. Was the one that banned alcohol. That was dumb. So that was yeah, that was just, I don't even drink myself, but it's just stupid, like trying to ban alcohol because it created a whole mafia around it, personally. So it's the Second Amendment is badly misinterpreted, abused, something that people like to argue about. I'm a gun owner, but some of the people are fanatic about it. Well, I'll tell you from a historical perspective, because I read history a lot. Do you know what the purpose of the Second Amendment was in history? The purpose of the Second Amendment was so that basically the people could have arms in case the government goes tyrannical. That was pretty much it. It's not a conspiracy theory. A lot of people actually think it's a conspiracy theory, but in the if you actually read the Federalist Papers, because a lot of people say that it's for the militia only, but the militia is the people. That's pretty much what it is. And the when the amendment also says regulated, that means in good working order, because regulated actually meant, you know, something very different back then. But if you want proof of what I'm saying, if you read the Federalist Papers, that's what the Founding Fathers, you know, wrote, which explained a lot of their ones. James Madison, he was the guy, I think, who wrote the Second Amendment. He actually explained in the Federalist Papers that the Second Amendment is basically meant for Americans to own, civilians to own arms. That was the whole purpose of it. You might argue that it's a good thing, or that it's a bad thing. But the reality of it, the historical purpose of the Second Amendment was so that the civilians could have arms. That was pretty much the purpose of it, because arms were confiscated in mass numbers when the British actually occupied the U.S. They didn't want colonists to have arms. So that's pretty much where it comes from. It was that. So you could argue it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the historical context regarding it is that it was it was that. But that's I'll just wait for the invite here. But yeah, I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys there is two things regarding the foundation of America that people from both parties typically lie about, and I'll tell you guys about it. Is hang on a second here. Basically, let's see here, just wait for the invite to the heist here. When it comes to the foundation of the United States, my country, both parties, you know, both people from the left and the right, they lie about certain things to push their agendas. And I'll tell you that, do you know what the number one thing the left lies about when it comes to the foundation of America? The Second Amendment. That's the thing that they lie about the most. I'm not just speaking from a biased perspective, but I'm speaking from a historical perspective. If you read the history, you read what the Founding Fathers specifically said, you read their positions on the Federalist Papers, the Second Amendment was very much for the people to own arms. It was not for the militia. It was for the people. That's a historical fact. The thing the right lies about the most when it comes to the foundation of America is that the American founding fathers were very religious people that founded America on the Bible. That is completely false. There is no proof whatsoever that the United States was founded on the Bible or even on Christianity. The majority religion was Christianity, sure, but the America was not founded as a Christian nation. That is completely false. So that's pretty much what both sides lie about. They misrepresent the facts to try to, push their own viewpoints about it. So that's what I say about it, is that there's people from both sides that lie about certain things in history, and I just don't like that personally. I'm just waiting for the invites. I'm waiting for him to invite me to the heist. He's gonna invite me any moment here. But yeah, if you look at and don't even just take my word for it, go on Google and just type in religion of the founding fathers. Look up what George Washington's religion was. Look up what Thomas Jefferson's religion was. Ben Franklin, John Adams. Nearly all of them had the exact same religion. And what was that? Deism. They weren't atheists. It wasn't that they were atheists. They were just very non-religious people. A deist is basically somebody who believes in a god, but they believe that god stays away from human affairs. So the American founding fathers, they weren't enthusiastic about Christianity. A lot of them didn't even consider themselves Christian. They still believed in a god. They still believed in, like, a higher power. But they weren't, these religious Christians that, like, people try to portray them as. Like, when I see people say that, like, the Constitution was founded in the Bible, no. There's no proof of that. There's no evidence for that. And just like people say that the Second Amendment was just for the militia, that's not true either. It was for the people. So there's things that both the left and the right lie about. The left lies about the purpose of the Second Amendment. The right lies about the founding fathers being very religious people. That wasn't true either. So the people who were religious were the monarchists, the loyalists. They basically believed that King George had the right to rule from God. The founding fathers were skeptical of that. You have to understand the position of the founding fathers. The founding fathers were very skeptical of government. And the founding fathers weren't just skeptical of government; they were skeptical of religion as well. So they were just men who were just generally skeptical of just any kind of authority, and they didn't like the idea of, like, the king getting his views from the king getting some kind of power from, like, God or something like that. They didn't like the idea of that. So that's personally what I'll say about that. So that was it. And also, you can even look up, there's one quote from John Adams. So, the United States, our first war in history, the first war that we've ever had in history that was not against Britain, was actually against the Barbary States, our overseas war. And the Barbary States were a bunch of pirates in North Africa that were they were pirate kingdoms that were attacking our ships. And they were raising tax. They basically had a tax that you had to pay to go through their territory. And if you didn't pay the tax, they would raid your ship and they would take it over. So pirates that would basically pay a toll to be able to go through. And what happened was, America, we kept paying their toll because we didn't want our ships to get attacked. We just wanted to just pay the toll, didn't want to deal with it. And what happened was when Thomas Jefferson became president, they raised the tax so much, Thomas Jefferson basically said at this point, no, screw this. We're not paying more for this. And so what happened is the pirates started attacking American ships, taking Americans as captives, and Americans were sold into slavery by the pirates. And what happened was Thomas Jefferson sent the Marines into North Africa, into Libya, where the Marines destroyed the pirates. They obliterated them, and they released most of the prisoners that were still alive. And the pirates had to sign a peace treaty with us. And basically, what the pirates were saying is they were asking us whether this was another crusade, because the pirates John Adams was sent to negotiate, and John Adams was asked, "Is America like a Christian nation?" And John Adams replied, and he said that the United States of America is in no way founded on Christianity. That's literally his actual quote, what he actually said. You can look this up if you don't believe me. So the founding fathers weren't atheists, but they weren't necessarily Christians either. They were just non-religious people. They just were skeptical of any kind of government or religious authority. But, I just personally, there's nothing wrong with being religious, don't get me wrong. There isn't. But when I see people say that the founding fathers, like, wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything, all that in the Declaration of Independence based on the Bible, there's no proof of that. There's none. So there's just, so I don't know where people are personally getting that from. Alright, let's do here this heist.
Here we are again. There is something special about the amphibious landing.
Okay, we're going to the back, I'm assuming, and swing through it.
Here, Mr. Rubio's mood these days. The storm is very tropical indeed. I am starting to think our host has unresolved anger issues. Why don't we give him some more, huh? Now pay attention. You will reach land soon.
But yeah, like I said, guys, don't just listen to everything I said. Everything I said, you can Google it. You can Google, like, you know, the original purpose of the Second Amendment. It was pretty much for the people, and you can look up the Federalist Papers as proof of that, and you can look up also the Founding Fathers' religions, and you can see all their quotes. So it was just pretty much the point that I was getting at is that there's people on politics, both left and right, that lie about certain things to try to push a specific agenda, and that's you know, I've seen both sides do it, and you know, I'm on the side of history. I obviously have my own views, but I'm on the side of history, and when I see somebody saying something historically accurate, it kind of bothers me. So that's just, okay, oh, right, I'm gonna swim in here, I forgot it. Gotta go down here, then the cutscene starts.
See you in maintenance room.
I got a question, Pro. On the First Amendment, should it also apply to private companies or just the government? Basically, you know, here's my viewpoint on this. Companies generally, technically companies, if they want, like, if they're running, like, you know, the thing about that is that if for example, if there's, like, a company, right? And, like, you know, you talk crap about the company, like, you know, during the day. Or, you know, when you're working and stuff like that. Technically, yeah, I guess they could fire you for that. You could, oh, what happened? Oh, everyone, no, when you swim in the tunnel, everyone needs to swim in at once. Yara, come over here and just, hit this, oh no, we're gonna drown here. Gotta get out here. When we come in, I thought that people had rebreathers here. I guess I don't even have one myself. But you have to, okay, yeah, it's probably better if we just restart this section here. Let me, when we restart it, let me cut it here. And I'll cut when I cut the sewer grate, I'll just tell everybody when we're going. Can you lower that, because I just hear myself repeating, please? WRV, or whoever's mic that is in the background. Okay. Let me just kill my character here. Now to answer your question, does the First Amendment apply to companies? My personal viewpoint on this is I'm completely against any kind of censorship. And, you know, I believe that if a company is like a social media company, like, you know, because I'm a big free speech guy myself, if there's like a social media company, like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, you know, whatever else, if they want to ban somebody from their platforms because they don't like what they're saying, then okay, go ahead. But those companies then also have an obligation to say that they don't support free speech. If they're willing to ban somebody for something that they don't like that person is saying, then they should also say that they don't support free speech. That's just my personal viewpoint on it. Because, you know, that's like, there's a lot of people, you know, there's people that get banned for, you know, dumb things, obviously. Like, you know, people, you know, say messed up things and they deserve kind of to get banned. But then there's people that say not necessarily bad things, but they get banned because somebody might not agree with them. And so I personally think when something like that happens, I personally think that that's messed up. And I think that the company should then admit that they don't support free speech if they're doing something like that. What the? What?
Something special about amphibious landing.
You gotta come back.
Tropical storm, and from what I hear, Mr. Rubio's mood these days, the storm is very tropical indeed.
He knocked us out of the boat, yeah. The thing is, though, I'll tell you, is that, censorship. I would say that my personal viewpoint, censorship and political correctness, I personally think is a threat to freedom of speech. And I think that the people who support cancel culture, you know what I think of them? I think they're idiots. And, you know, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but the thing about that is that if you support cancel culture doesn't care about you. Eventually, cancel culture is going to come for you next. It's eventually going to cancel the people who cancel other people. That's eventually what's going to happen. So it's, the thing is, though, it's so stupid that, like, people change their views. Like, people are not the same that they are 10 years ago, 10 years before. So it's like, if you go back, every single person on this planet has pretty much said something in their life that they could probably get canceled for. Like something stupid when they were kids or something like that. Everyone said something stupid. And so it's that going back like 10 years ago and looking through somebody's tweets like 10 years ago and then like saying that like, oh, you know, this person said this 10 years ago, this person now deserves to get canceled and deserves to get fired from their job and have their life ruined over something they said 10 years ago. That's stupid. Rodriguez, let me cut it. Oh, you can't? Okay, WRV can only. Okay. WRV, when you finish cutting that, swim to the surface so you get extra breath, and then tell us when you cut it. Okay. But like, you want an example of like how bad political correctness is. Companies can't use First Amendment if their goal is for economic gain. Yeah. I would agree with you, Alvinor. Thank you for the super chat. But I'll give you guys a perfect example of how bad political correctness is. So, Saints Row. The new Saints Row is politically correct. It is. For example, in Saints Row, the reboot, do you know what the restaurant is called? It's called FB's. FB's, that's what they call it. They even changed the logo. The logo looks very different in the politically correct. Do you know what it was called? Beforehand, it was called Freckle Bitches. I know I don't curse a lot, but I'm gonna just say it here. That's what the restaurant was called. They changed it because they were scared of offending people. Like, how does that offend anybody? It was just a parody off of Wendy's. That's literally what I say, is that that's stupid. WRV, did you... Okay. Okay, it's cut. Okay, everyone, swim now together. Everyone, go. Quick. Everyone get in the tunnel. If you swim really fast, you'll make it before you run out of breath, but you have to be fast. Okay, and so what I was saying about that's what the restaurant was called, and they changed it to FB's. And do you know what else they changed? They changed homies. The word homie is not used at all in Saints Row 2. Instead the word friends and contacts is used. That's what it's used. That's stupid. You have to confirm it, WRV. That's stupid. They called themselves homies. They were called homies in your phone in Saints Row 1 and 2. I think in Saints Row 3 and 4 they were still called homies in your phone. So that's what they were called. Homie is not a bad word. I don't know why somebody would get offended by the word homie. That's the stupidest thing that I ever heard of. How is homie an offensive word? But that's the society that we live in today. People think that homie is an offensive. Homie is not an offensive word. Homie is just a slang term for just a good friend, a street term. So basically, it's like a street term for like a good friend. That's pretty much what homie is. It's like a good friend. There's no like how somebody would get if somebody gets offended by the word homie, they're an idiot. That's all I gotta say. So that's literally the stupidest thing to possibly get offended by.
Did I ever tell you about my friend Sergey? Spetsnaz. Created new tactical approach method. The Russian word means valiant jump from cliff.
Oh, Rodriguez, what happened? Okay, restart this here. Yeah, WRV, in the future though, you don't want to get 4 people on this heist if you're getting the gold. If you're getting the gold, you only want like 2 people in the future. If you want 4 people, you would have to get like the coke and stuff like that, because that's easier for 2 people. But like in here, it's like, because you have so many people, it's like the chances of getting spotted. What are your thoughts on certain War Thunder players leaking classified information? Well, I don't know the specifics of that, Alvin, or I don't. I would say, here's what I'll say about it. Here's my view on classified information. Is that when it comes to is classified information, is that freedom of speech? Yes and no. If somebody leaks something that's classified, somebody leaks something that's classified, that person can get arrested and sent to jail because they've leaked possibly could be a national security issue. However, though, once it's leaked and it's in the public view, anybody else that talks about it can't get arrested. And if the government does, they're violating that person's First Amendment rights. Like, let's just say something like really stupid, like hang on,
How likely is it I have two
let's just say hypothetically, and I don't even believe in aliens, but let's just say hypothetically. Let's just say hypothetically that there was the, hypothetically, somebody leaked info that there was aliens in Area 51. Let's just say that, hypothetically, right? And the government had aliens. If something like that happened, the person that leaked it would get arrested. However, though, anybody else in the public sphere, if we talked about it, like if I made a YouTube video about it, and I, like, said, the government has aliens or something like that, and the government tried to arrest me, they would be violating my First Amendment rights at that point, because it's in the public, and you can't stop people from talking about something at that point. So that's it. Even if it's classified, if it's public, if it's in the public at that point, the original person that leaked it could get arrested. But when it's in the public at that point, you can't really arrest somebody for, talking about classified information. So that's my personal view on it. That's what I say about it.
¿Sigue por ahí? Todavía no ha terminado. Seguro viene luego.
Okay. Let's go through here. We weren't able to find the other card. Don't kill that guy there. He's too close to the Juggernaut. Juggernaut could find the body. No key here. Okay, there it is. I'm just trying to find the other key card.
Cigarette? You got a smoke? Oh, I'll kill for a fag.
I got a key card. Okay, don't kill anyone else.
You find a locked door. In my experience, you can also find the key.
Can someone open this gate here? Oh wait, I already have the key. Okay. 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 Right now, before we go to the basement, let's loot the gold quickly, because then enemies, if we get detected, it's gonna be a lot harder. Do not kill anyone else. Don't kill anyone else that you don't need to. And this camera here. This camera here to turn. Okay, come on. Wait, isn't the room isn't here? Oh, it's the Wait, I'm just losing my track of thought here right now. I'm gonna waste these guys here too. Okay.
You must use them simultaneously.
Okay, it's right here. I don't know what I was thinking before. Okay, right here. Get over here. A British War Thunder player leaked classified information regarding the Challenger 2 main battle tank because he wanted the tank to be better in game. Somebody come over here, help me open this really quick. Oh wait, did we get the second key card from the, we did, okay. Oh, you already opened it, okay. How did he, now here's the question I have for you. Oh god, great. Oh my god, god damn, Juggernaut. No, what, did you, I'm just gonna keep going on this for now. Somebody come over here, help me open this door really quick. Or actually, let's just, you know what, let's get to the mansion quick. Let's get to the mansion. Go upstairs quickly, it's easier to form a defense up here. Okay. Watch the staircase, someone. I'm gonna open this really quick. How did he... Now, the guy that you were telling me about that leaked the classified info. How did he How did he get that info?
Okay.
How
you
exactly?
are at the scanner. Time to use the tool we got from head of cybersecurity. You will see a target print and some fragments of previous scans. You just need to cycle through them to match the target. And try not to get shot while you're using it.
There we go. Okay, this is open. Okay.
It worked. Good.
Go.
Now go.
Se gli acabaron las
Did he hack something? If he hacked something, that's illegal. So that's, I'm gonna get this here. We got a guard coming in, possibly. Watch out. Hacking, the thing about that is hacking is not freedom of speech. That's intruding into a system. That's a crime. So that's, so if somebody hacks something to get some kind of files or something like that, that's, you know, that's just more than just simply, yeah. Okay.
Le llegó el día.
Cover me, I'm gonna open this really quick. $72.59.90, okay.
More guards could be on the way. Use the combination on the safe now. So, do you see the bonds? How many are there? No,
Okay.
wait, this is not the time for counting chickens.
Let's go out here.
Bad news. They have sealed the drainage pipe. You will need to look for another way out of there.
Cover me for a second, I'm gonna open this door.
They have backup on the way.
Okay, his door's open, just keep covering me.
Just because you are fleeing the
Okay,
crime
go left.
scene of the century does not mean there is no time for opportunistic theft, yes? You like it, you take it.
¡Jódase!
Quick, gotta move, there's a juggernaut there. Guy won't die here. Okay. Up here, come on. Okay, push towards the exit quickly.
¡Mierda! ¡Cayó uno!
Hit the...
¡Va a morir, imbécil!
Okay.
¡Que se ríe, carever!
I like how all the enemies disappear during this. Okay, okay, get a jeep.
Compound is behind us, and the hard part is done. Now, do not die on the
Shoot these guys, all of them.
Get out of there. Go. I have sent you the extraction coordinates for
Get in the jeep, everyone. Yara, get in. That's fine. We're gonna get out.
You know, this time I think you may have broken him.
I think personally that AI is, I think that AI are a, I think that it can be a problem. And I'm not like, when I say problem, I'm not talking like Terminator stuff or like, crazy or something like that. I'm talking more about AI killing jobs. I think that's pretty much happening. And, I think that personally people are very, follow me here this way, guys. There's an angle that if you swim at, specifically here, you'll be able to, escape quicker. If you have to breathe, go above water to make sure you don't run out of breath, but just keep moving and you should be fine.
Well, judging from their comms, it sounds like Mr. Rubio is reaching for his
I have to get a little bit of air here.
Everyone accounted for. Perfect.
Keep going, we're almost out. Just keep going this way. Okay, I'm out. Okay, there we go, we're good. Oh, okay, yeah, so even when the heist goes bad, you can still get out. Now, what I was saying before about AI is, I'll tell you guys this. One of the biggest things that's going to destroy small towns is AI. AI is gonna kill small towns. Not just like, and the cities probably won't have that much of a problem because in the cities there's other opportunity. But what people don't understand, and this is like, I typically don't like the government getting involved in like certain things. But when it comes to stuff like this, I think that there should be limits on stuff like this because, for example, there's a lot of truckers. And these truckers, this is how people make a living. Trucking is a good job for the most part. The worst part about trucking is that you don't eat healthy because you're constantly stopping, but it pays good. It's a good job for the most part. It depends on the company, obviously, but I know truckers in real life. And these guys are going to be put out of work if you have AI trucks that are going to be driving. If you have, like, self-driving trucks, these guys are going to be put out of work because the company's going to be like, oh, I'm just going to get the self-driving truck. I don't need a trucker. And what's the trucker going to do at that point? The trucker's, where else is the trucker going to work? If the trucker works in, like, a small town where there isn't, like, a lot of opportunity, because most truckers are from the countryside. If they live in, like, a small town where there isn't, like, a lot of opportunity, what else are they going to do for work? Go work on a farm? There's not much stuff that they could possibly find. And so that's if you allow things like self-driving cars to basically become the norm, a lot of jobs are going to be put out of work. A lot of people are going to be put out of work. A lot of people. And, people always make the argument, oh, those people will find the jobs in something else. But the thing about that is, what are the truckers going to specifically find a job in? What? What is it going to be? What are they going to do for work? This is that. You think they'll be making the same amount of money working on a farm as they would, like, driving a truck? So these people are going to be put out of work, and it's that I don't think that that's personally a good thing. And then you're going to have a lot of people on unemployment. A lot of people are going to be on unemployment and government programs because of something like that. So I think that, when it comes to AI, I think that there should be limits. And I don't think that, like, I don't think it should be legal for companies to use AI, like, to drive their cars. I don't think that should be legal. I don't think that should be allowed, personally. I don't even like the idea of that. It's not even just about the jobs, but I just don't like the idea. Like, imagine how scary it is. Like, imagine, like, you have, like, this huge truck with this huge payload. Like, a truck could crush any car and kill anybody instantly. And you have this huge, giant truck, and it's being driven by a computer the whole time. I don't care if people tell me how safe it is. I don't like that. So that's just what what I'll say that,
They will. I think they definitely will.
Let me see. Oh, I missed a few comments. But the thing about that is that even when people are against the political correctness, it doesn't change anything, Revan, because the companies don't back down. Look at how people reacted to the Saints Row reboot, and Volition didn't back down. Volition never apologized. Look at how people reacted to Battlefield 5. When people were unhappy with Battlefield 5, did the developers apologize? No, they doubled down. So, and it was a disaster. So they're willing to take a disaster. They won't apologize. They won't change their minds. So that's, Patrick, GTA Chinatown Wars playthrough, I think episode 2 or 3. Did anyone pick up on the ammunition guy running away from him with a shotgun in his hands? That was funny. Have a good day as always. Thank you, Jay. Thanks, man. You could see an increase in hijackings of freight trucks. Yeah, I actually did not think about that. You have a good point. Yeah, criminals could learn how to take these trucks over, and since there's no person driving these trucks, they could just wait till the self-driving truck stops at like a charging station or something like that, and then they'll just hijack it. You're right on that. Thank you, Project Game Plan. Thanks, man. So I guess we'll probably wrap up the stream here, guys. I'm gonna get some food. I'm a bit hungry. I'll do SOCOM 2 this year. We'll do that. A lot of jobs will be taken by AI. That's why I think it should be. I think AI should be regulated and controlled, personally. No, you're not, Mr. Waifu. You're fine. I'm on the PS5, yes. Well, it's okay, Polly. We'll do a stream later in the week, and San Andreas lore video is coming out later tonight or in the morning, but it might get copyright claimed, guys. I'm just warning you on that. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this stream, though. If you did, do drop a like. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Happy Easter also to everyone who celebrates it. Thank you, Matt, for the super chat.